Hello guys and welcome to the Lil Flippity series. So this is a brand new, well it's not really a brand new account. I've got 80 range and 85 mage on it with 52 prayer. I've done one quest on it as I'm going to show you in a second, which is Imp Catcher. And essentially I built this account because I wanted to PK low level bots in the Revenants just to see what was up with it essentially. But now that I've used it for a little while, I'd actually like to develop this account into something probably around 90 combat. That would be the end goal for it. So just a kind of bracket level lower than my med level. So I'm starting this off with nothing in the bank, and or you're going to see what I've got in a second. But the idea of this series is that I'm only going to make money in the wilderness. So I could PVM. Obviously, I'm never going to PVM. You know me. It's pretty much just going to be a PK series. But in order to PK, I need to also, get some money. As well as that, I can train and buy things outside of the wilderness. I just can't make money outside of the wilderness. So if I want pots for training, I have to make money in the wilderness. If I want to do a quest, I can do it. Stuff like that. You'll get the hang of it. So the first thing that I needed to do was make some starter cash. And being a noob, I basically just walked to Mage Bank with and picked up everything along the way. I decided to get some mage capes because they're free. And I had really no idea how to make the first like 20k that I needed to PK. So first of all, I went over here and I saw that there were bones. So I picked some of those up until I ran out of prayer and food. Then I realised that actually you can pick up knives. So there is a sack outside of Mage Bank. And if you don't have a knife in your inventory when you're in between the webs, then you can click on that sack and it's going to give you a knife. So they're actually 60 GP each. So what I was doing is basically getting one and then dropping it and then putting it into my invent. So I managed to do this for a little while and I was just building some starter cash. I just thought it was a good point now to mention sometimes I have live audio, and if I think the live audio is interesting, then I'm going to play it. Otherwise, you're just going to get this kind of overview of what I'm doing and if I've got any interesting insights to share along the way. Okay, so I think this is probably enough. Enough knives. I'm really hoping they actually sell, but if we just combine everything in our bank right now, the cheese and the tomato as well, we're really down bad right now. Then we have 12k, and I think 12k might be enough to kill those bots that are doing Zami wines that I've just scouted. So I'm basically going to go to the G, get some really shitty gear, and then go and kill those. The only problem is we don't have the agility. So I sold everything off, and this is the gear that I bought. So I bought made short bow with adamant arrows. I also bought some myth darts, but actually that was a bit of a shit purchase. I bought, I think, 70 or something jugs of wine, which was super cheap. I think they were like 3 GP each. And they're great because they heal nines, but they also don't impact your mage and range. I bought snares because I couldn't afford entangles at the time, and I think I also bought a couple of anti-poisons and a power army. Not sure if I bought the power army at this time. On the way up, I did get my prayer up and I got some monk robes. That was the plan, but then I realised actually I've just picked those up outside of the wilderness. If I want anything outside of the wilderness, I have to pay for it with money I've made in the wilderness. So I dropped them and I was on my way back to Mage Bank. So as I alluded to, my first stop was to PK these guys, these Zami wine bots. Now these guys drop lore runes, which are obviously stackable, and also wines of Zamarok, which is where you get the bulk of the GP that you make here. So it really came in handy to have that looting bag that I started with. I also realised kind of as I went that one of the best things that they drop is an air staff, which is about 2k on the Grand Exchange. So it's like one of the best things that you can put in an inventory slot, if not the best thing, apart from lore runes. I didn't have any energy when I started, but luckily these guys also drop energy potions. So I managed to get that energy up. And yeah, there were many of these bots, all similar levels, like level 30. None of them had overheads, so it was just really easy to acquire some GP in this way. Although it wasn't the best loot. So I think if you have a full looting bag, you're typically looking at like 30k. If you kill multiple of these guys, you're looking at 50k in a looting bag. Obviously, you can just stay here forever and pick up the lore runes, but I don't think it's optimal to do that. And yeah, all you have to do is stand in this spot and they will log into you and then you can just kill them. I obviously brought the snares to freeze them if they did get away, but that didn't really seem necessary in a lot of situations. Shit. And as you can see from that clip, I thought I'd just put that in there. I remembered that actually there are kind of other PKs in the wilderness, and I'm a small fish at the moment. So, yeah, I decided to bank after that. Managed to bring our bank up to 500k, but actually, I think it was only like 45k. I realised that the marks of grace were worth something and they were distorting our bank value, so I actually just dropped these. Whereas, luckily, the room pouch and the loosen bag don't account for anything. So I didn't mind leaving those in the inventory. What am I doing? Right, I know where he's going, so I'm just going to have to... Okay, he should be out of food, to be fair. Yeah. Alright, cool. He didn't have any food anyway. 46 wines of Zamorak, okay. There's no way that I'm getting PK'd. There's no way. Right. There's not much I can do. I can't even see which ones of these I can eat. Okay, that's bollocks, bro. Ah, 369. I'm going to go on my main. Here he is. I'm just going to have to half him. Good fight. I got my key back. And in case you're wondering, this is the guy who killed me. So he brought entangled sacks, 5 Varrock teleports, TB runes. Um, yeah, no words really. He didn't bring a staff. I think he's protecting that hardcore Iron Man. I think that's why he's up here. I don't think this guy's a PK, but I mean, wrong place, wrong time. So that is one of the beneficial things about doing this series as well. It's quite fun that I can go and PK on my main or just kind of leave my main out here. But after that little setback, we went back up to Mage Bank. We re-geared. Luckily, we had like 40k in the bank. So at this point, we were kind of set since our gear was only like 10k. And yeah, just went to town PKing these guys. So I went back to the bank, and at this point, I had like 120k. But the guy that you just saw me kill had way more Wines of Zamorak than I could actually loot. So I went back a couple of times just to kill a couple more of these bots to make sure that I had some kind of starter cash for the next step of my plan, which was to go to the money caves, aka Revs. Which obviously you need 100k to get into. So I just continued killing these guys, and I realised quite quickly that actually it's not that great money, and it's quite annoying having to bank all the time because you'd kill a couple of these bots, which are great, really easy, but you just end up with so many ones of Samurak that on the floor that yeah, I was just kind of hemorrhaging money in that point. So I actually thought to myself, why don't I wait outside the bank and wait for essentially these guys to come back with a full invent? And this is an example of me doing that. However, I would say after I found this guy, which was awesome, I got loads of wines of Zamorak off this guy. I didn't actually find that many people doing this, so it probably was better money per hour to just PK kind of normally at the spot. So after that, I went to the G and I sold everything, as you can see on the screen. And we managed to get 179 wines of Zamorak and like 400 plus lore runes, and I ended up with 180k. Now I did have to drop 100k, and the reason for that is because I've already entered the Rev Cave before I started this series on this account. So unfortunately that went in the bin, and I had 80k to get myself up with a pretty simple mage range setup, or really just a range setup with TBs and entangles. One of the benefits of this account is that I do have TBs. So the idea was just to go to the imps and kind of see what happened. Ah, shit. So this is what I was hoping not to get into. Okay, we're just gonna... Nice. So after getting away from that PK who was kind of at the top of the bracket, I was pretty confident. And the next world that I logged into, I found this guy, so I just decided to go rogue. I'm not going to PVM. I'm not going to kill these imps. I'm just going to kill players. And yeah, I mean, this guy was extremely free. I spent actually quite a long time fighting him, as you can see from the fact that I got 41 hits on him before he decided to run away. Come on. If we can get him now, that's huge. Just RNG now. 6 HP. That should be it. Good fight. We got 100k. So I thought that was a pretty good place to end. We basically doubled our bank with that kill. Let me know if there's anywhere that you'd like me to PK while I'm a low level for the next one.